This week, I am joined live by my very good friend, Stephanie Gillis from Gutsy, and we are talking all about habits, what habits mean to your health and also to your business.
Hey love, you're listening to the Mums in Biz Show and I'm Victoria. Every week I'll bring you the unvarnished version of what it means to be a mum running a brilliant business, what you need to be doing to get it to where you want it to be, and a healthy dose of how to get the heck out of your own way. Let's dive in.
Well, hey there, ladies, and welcome to the Mums in Biz Show. This week, I am joined live by my very good friend, Stephanie Gillis from Gutsy. Say hello.
Hi everyone. Awesome to be here.
And we are talking all about habits, what habits mean to your health and also to your business. Why don't you tell us a bit about you and Gutsy and what you're all about?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie from Gutsy. Just some background, I left the corporate world. I worked in HR for the last 20 years. So I left the corporate world 6 months ago after my youngest started school to embark on my own business in the space of health and wellbeing, so personal training and mind-body coaching. I've personally been in this space for 20 odd years as well and always had a really deep passion to want to get into this space. Interestingly, I just went down the corporate path for a long time. I set up Gutsy with the vision to want to help educate, support and empower women who are ready to prioritise themselves and their health and fitness. So I run a gym out of my garage. It's a small little intimate studio, so especially for people that aren't that comfortable with wanting to go to the big corporate gyms. I do a mix of group training and then one-on-one strength training. And then I also do nutritional consults as well and the mind-body piece as well for people. So just understanding people's challenges around the relationship with their own bodies and relationship with food and body image, so they all sort of intertwine.
Awesome. And so tell us a little bit about your philosophy, because you have quite a unique philosophy in helping people look at their health and wellness and how they bring that to life for themselves.
Yeah, so I was really adamant, if you like, when I started my business. There's so much out there. We are in a saturated market and it's very much about, lose weight loss, fat loss, 6-week challenges, 8-week challenges, I'm more, especially I suppose for the target market, which is I guess my group as well, I suppose. So your mums and you're sort of into your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. It's really about looking at health first and then aesthetics second, or at least that comes after that. So educating people on the importance of strength conditioning or understanding our bodies a little bit better and what nutrition can help supplement that. So, and just educating people around when you do feel healthier, you also naturally feel better, and actually therefore what you see in the reflection of the mirror, you actually think you look better. So as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And for anybody who has listened to me for a little while, I talk about that a lot, because I think that, we strive for the result from our business, but if we don't change how we're feeling about ourselves right now, and if you do the right things, then the results will come, but you focus on the results and you constantly feel like you're chasing them. So I feel like, and you will hear me do this a lot, there's a lot of analogies between the approach that Stephanie takes with her clients and how we can succeed in business. And so that's why I'm so excited to have you on today. Now, one of the things that you talk about a lot are cornerstone habits.
Yes.
Tell us what a cornerstone habit is.
So the cornerstone habit is a habit that's really, it's like almost our main one. We all have lots of habits.
Yes.
But the real main habit that might be one of the main things that might be holding us back from where it is we want to go and do or achieve. And it's probably the one that we should look at first to see how we can really break that down and see how we can then replace it essentially with newer habits to get us to where it is we want to go.
Yeah, right. So it's a habit that we're currently doing that's holding us back. Is that right?
Exactly right.
Can you give us an example?
So it could be, I'll use a self-limiting belief
Yes.
as one, or lack of confidence in one. So we give ourselves a whole bunch of reasons as to why we're not able or capable, or limits us or stops us from even starting to sort of make that change.
Okay. And what about a practical example? Like I think you mentioned one with
the snacking. Yeah. So we look at some things I work on with my clients. I think a lot of people can relate to this. At the end of the day, you get home from work, or you've been running around all day, and then you put the kids to bed, and it's your downtime, and you sit on the couch and you turn on the TV, and all of a sudden you feel hungry, or you think you're hungry, and then you go and get a packet of Tim Tams out of the fridge and you start snacking. Yeah. And generally mindlessly as well. And or, again, for people that are working on their own businesses, they might get that second surge to do work when the kids are in bed. Yes. And again, they grab food and they're just sort of snacking, not really paying attention to really are they hungry and or what it is that they are snacking on. So that could be a cornerstone habit that you're doing all the time, which is really affecting the results. So you might be exercising and really increasing your fitness, but you're wondering why you're not maybe getting the results on the other side that you want, or you might be waking up feeling lethargic, not thinking that it's related to what you put in your body the night before.
So it's almost kind of subconscious.
Yeah.
And so how do we go about then breaking that habit? What do we do?
So I think it's first identifying it, which is something I work through with my clients, because I think you can ask people, what do you think your cornerstone habit is? And they might just say the first thing that comes to their mind, or what they think their cornerstone habit is might not actually be what it is. So it's really sort of getting an inventory of what that what their days look like effectively. And then once you've identified that, looking how you can break it down to then work on one small piece of that habit at a time.
Yeah. So kind of like replacing a habit with a different habit or something like that.
Or replacing, so if we think of sort of the habit loop, you've got your cue, and then you've got your routine, and then you've got your reward. So your cue is sort of your trigger. So it might be right when I'm sitting down at the computer to do work. And then the routine is go and get a bowl of chips to bring back to the computer, and the reward is I'm snacking at the same time. That just feels that's delicious. So if you still need to get the work done, and I had this with a client, she needs to work. So let's keep the trigger and the cue there, but let's say we change the routine. So maybe you go and make a cup of tea instead, or maybe you go and prepare something that's a little bit more healthier that you can eat, that's not going to derail the results of everything else that you've done. So you're still also getting that same reward as well. And or you get a little bit more creative with the food that you're making, that the reward is even greater, that you then start potentially creating a craving for that newer food option.
Right. So if I was to bring this back to a business context for people, please correct me if I'm not interpreting this right. So let me think of an example. This might not be a cornerstone habit, but it could certainly be a habit that's derailing something, is the Facebook feed. So we go online to do something for our business, and we realize that we need to check something on Facebook, and then 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, we're still scrolling through the feed or stuck in someone's group. And so a way that you could shift that habit would be either to be really deliberate about the links or whatever information it is you're getting off Facebook. So would that be changing the cue?
Yes.
And so if I was shifting the routine, what would that look like? Would that be like outsourcing an activity to a VA or?
100%. So if you if you find that you are getting stuck or caught up in it, then outsourcing it would be a great one.
Okay. So it's about identifying what some of those habits are that we've got that are keeping us stuck, which may be in a really tactical, that was a really tactical example.
I think it's a really valid one. I think you go onto social media with an intention and you get sucked into the vacuum. So that's a really great one to use.
And so if we think about cornerstone habits in our businesses then, that really feels to me like it harks a lot back to limiting beliefs and those things beliefs that we hold about ourselves and what we can or can't do, that kind of permeate everything that we try to do. Is that how it works with fitness as well?
100%. And then that actually is the cornerstone habit, not so much.
Right.
So the other things are habits, but it's more, that's on an even deeper level. So you'd want to maybe look at it at that.
Okay. And so we talk also a lot in the business world about why, and you mentioned around understanding why something is really important, being critical to creating change for health and wellness, and that ties into your cornerstone habit. Tell us a bit about that.
So I think if people embark on anything and aren't clear on their why, once the initial motivation wanes, I suppose, what do you really have left to hold on to keep you going when the day-to-day stuff comes up, something challenging happens, as a bump in the road. You're tired, you're stressed. Having that real fundamental understanding and connection to why am I doing this is critical to when you do have those moments when life just happens, that you can go, this is why I'm doing this. It might be uncomfortable right now, I'm going through pain or whatever that might be, but you sort of can dig deeper than just relying on motivation to keep you going.
And so how do you help your clients get down to what their real why is?
I have to ask a lot of questions. It's quite, I don't know how many of us stop to really ask ourselves. They're hard questions. And they're annoying. I annoy people because they'll say, why do you want to, if I say, well, why do you want to do this? Oh, well, I want to look great in a bikini. Well, that's great. Why is that important to you? Oh, because I think I'll look good. Okay, well, why is that important to you? Keep going down. And then you get to the real core of something for someone, and it's like a bit of a snapping point. But that's the real, that's sort of the devil in the detail, I suppose, or the real anchor, as you used before, that's going to keep them connected to it.
I love that. And it's so interesting what I find in working with my clients in business is that we often stop at my kids are my why, and your kids are not your why. And people think that I'm being a little bit sacrilegious, or maybe I'm, not as serious a mother as other people are, but I mean it really genuinely, because when you dig down deep, it's not about, well, I'm creating my business to spend more time with my children, because I'm probably going to spend a little bit less time with my children while I'm building the business. So I'm creating this unhealthy tension between those two things that are important to me. But why do I want to spend time with my children? Well, I want to have the freedom to choose how I'm spending my time. And I want to have the flexibility to decide about the impact that I can have on them and with them and for them. And I want to show them, like, there's absolutely for me a piece of my why that's about showing them what's possible and showing them that they can do whatever they want to do. And that drives me way further than just spending more time with them. And so I love the way that you kind of delve into the detail a bit with them there. So some of the things that we talk about, and I know that the ladies who watch the show will be really interested to hear your story, because I know that you recently made the decision to leave corporate and go full bang into your business. Tell us about that decision. Tell us what that looked like for you.
Well, it was a few years in the making. I suppose where you plant that initial seed, and then I was studying, doing a lot of studying, sort of in amongst working, and then it got to a point. I think I knew in my heart when Shelley, my youngest, was going to start school, that was going to be the best time for me to make that break. But probably about 6 months earlier than that, I was already really feeling ready to make the break, to the point where I was getting really uncomfortable to be there. And then you're acutely aware that your performance is probably not where it should be. I think I got to a point where I'm like, if I don't make the decision first, the decision might get made for me.
I'm sure that's not true.
But I think it's a whole range of emotions, because I really loved where I was working, but when I did not feel aligned, and that felt extremely uncomfortable. And I have this internal dialogue telling me I'm not aligned. So and I stretched it out until Shelley started school, because I had this date. But that was, I felt really ready to finish up.
And what does feeling ready, what did that look like? What does that mean?
That I had no fear in the moment. I had no fear. Or the alternative just wasn't an option anymore. I couldn't. And so when I think about the why there, I'm like, I wasn't happy. And my natural disposition is to be happy. So
Yes.
I really, I just knew that February 2018 was my break.
You're done.
You sort of build it up in your head.
Yeah.
You know, once you planted that seed, you only need a little bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And it builds.
It does.
Yeah.
I really love that for you, ready looked like an absence of fear, because I feel like that's there's always a little bit of fear in taking the leap into something new and a big change. And I love that you got to the point where that fear actually wasn't there anymore. Yeah. So tell us what has happened for you since then, because that's been a transition too, hasn't it?
A big transition. I realised I feel like I must have been working on automatic a lot, and I'm even more on in my own business, which totally makes sense, I guess. And then also my I'd be gone for hours working in corporate. Yeah. And I felt like I was able to almost balance more. Yeah. Because I was so structured, as opposed to now being able to organise my own structure, which I quickly realised, for someone who I thought I was so highly organised, I don't know how organised I wasn't feeling organised for a long time. And then the whole mum gig of picking up and dropping off kids and taking them to activities. In fact, my next door neighbour said to me recently, "Who took all your kids to these activities when you were working?" I'm like, "They didn't do them."
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they did some, but not to what. And when I think back now, I'm like, that's what I wanted to sort of give them exposure to these things. And but I also wanted to be a part of that.
Yes. Yeah. That's really interesting. And I completely had a point that I was going to make there that I can't remember anymore. So I'll just ask you another question, and I'm sure it'll come back to me. I think what's really certainly in my business journey, I have loved hearing stories like this. So thank you for being really candid with us. I know that the ladies who are watching will get a lot out of hearing what that looks like. And I think the other thing is there's, correct me if I'm wrong, there's this kind of a little bit of, not disappointment, but, it's not what I thought it was going to be. How do I turn this around? Yeah. And I think that can be really derailing for some people. So how have you kind of gone through that transition? Because it's hard to feel lost in any big change that you make in life. Yeah, and I've had lots of moments that I found challenging. I haven't thought, when I've checked in with myself to ask if I have any regrets, I know 1,000% I have no regrets about my decision. That's awesome. I think it's more just it's scary because you if it's your business, as passionate as you are, you still have to put yourself out there because no one knows about you otherwise. And that's been massive. When I say learning, it's confronting in that you do realise the self-limiting beliefs that you might have, and you actually have to work on that before anything, because nothing. That's a massive hurdle, I suppose. To then, it doesn't matter how much passion you might have necessarily, if you're fearful, getting yourself out there a little bit. So just working through that. Yeah. And that's something I think that all of us, and certainly I'm sure all of you, can relate to as well, is that whole we all look at other people in the online space and we think, she has got it together. Yeah. She knows what she's all about. Look at her, she's gorgeous, she's, fit and healthy, she's taken the plunge and given up her corporate life. But to hear that, you have just as many self-limiting beliefs. I know I certainly do. There are always things that are holding us back, and we're all just normal people trying to get ahead and make a difference and realise this dream that we have. Yeah. So what does ultimate look like for Gutsy? Ultimate looks like building up my Gutsy community. I love the name of your business, by the way. Thank you. I secretly love it too, not so secretly. So building up that community, I'd love to get a group of women together, just to have that support and encouragement and just shared understanding of everyone's sort of journeys of where they're at. But then also having an online presence to be able to scale my reach to people. Yeah. And I'm really excited for such a different app on sort of on nutrition and just helping people
navigate. I find a lot of the questions I get is around nutrition, and I think with all the information out there, like it's like on the one hand we know, but on the other hand we don't really know, and just people want tools, and meal plans and things like that are great, but they have a shelf life because, again, I want to be able to empower people to be able to make the decisions, not feel like they're fixated on I can only eat this or I can only eat that. It doesn't last.
Yeah. And it's exactly the same in business. So I find that where we follow people who say do this, then this, then this, then this, that might not work for your business. And so what you really want to be able to do is have those guidelines, the principles. We'll try these things. What is it that you're looking for? How can you shift things to change that? It's almost like that experimentation mindset, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I'm drawing that analogy simply because I'm completely in that bucket of I can't follow a meal plan to save my life. But if I've got guidelines to work within, and that I can start to educate myself and learn what will work and won't work for me and my body, then I can start to change my habits.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really wanted you to be able to take away from today, I love the way that Stephanie teaches the importance of why in making big change in your life. I love that she talks about habits and that whole notion of cornerstone habit, and knowing what it is that's really derailing you, actually. In fact, you've probably still got a cornerstone habit in place in relation to your business that is holding you back. And so I would think about how you can shift some of your habits now around your business. Maybe you're struggling to get past a point of resistance on something. You mentioned getting visible. So maybe it's something like that, posting on your social platform of choice, going live on Facebook, really leveraging video. Maybe it's about having the courage to put your message out there on blogs. How can you start to build some habits that take away the power of the resistance point? Because as you know, your brain is hardwired to keep you comfortable. It's fight or flight response. It's an evolutionary thing where in order to keep ourselves, our bodies safe, we are hardwired with hormonal and chemical responses in our brain, and your brain can't distinguish between danger and discomfort, and that's why we feel so much resistance in our business, because there is pretty much nothing we can achieve in health or in business without discomfort. And I say that as a person who did a workout with Stephanie this morning in great discomfort. So, but it's no different in your business. So what are some of the habits that you can put in place? A story that I was telling earlier today was, when I started working in my business and doing that in an online capacity, and that was about 18 months ago now in this iteration, it felt like a bit of a chore sitting down with my computer every night, because that was the time at that time that I had carved out to work on my business. But now if I'm not working and doing something really deliberate in a space in time which habitually I would be working on my business, I feel really lost. Like I actually get anxious if something is taking me away from that time, because it's so ingrained. But it's just through deliberate action and consistency, and you mentioned consistency, that I've gotten to that point. So tell us a little bit more about that. What does that look like, consistency and actually forming up a habit?
So I think it's about taking that. So we talked about the cornerstone habit and sort of dismantling it, and then taking one thing at a time.
Right.
It doesn't matter how small it is.
Yeah.
And just working on it and working on it and working on it. And then that slowly just creates, that consistency creates that new habit or that new routine within the habit, which then has a knock-on effect where you can work on the next one and then the next one.
Yeah, because we're all about instant results these days, aren't we?
Instant results.
Yeah, and whether you're talking about health or business, instant results are almost impossible to achieve. Yeah.
And certainly even if they're short-lived or not sustainable. So it's a matter of just working on all those little things that create the bigger things for sustainability.
So finding your progression. So if this is where I want to go, then that's the result I need to achieve, then that's the thing I need to have in place, and to get that in place I need to do these things consistently. Is that a good example?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also goals are great and milestones are great, but to have an end goal, I don't even know if we really want that, because we always want to keep evolving and keep progressing and growing. So I think it's just maybe having little milestones in there to celebrate, which is important.
Yes.
But not necessarily like, and then when I get to the very end, it's like,
then I'm done.
Yeah, hopefully there isn't that, because there's going to be something else with all the growth that's come.
All
that other.
Which is why, so we talk about 90-day goals and sort of, okay, well, if this is what I want to achieve this year, then if I break that down into 90-day chunks, then these are the things that I want to achieve, which is more of a milestone-based view than I'm just going to kick this massive goal this year and then I'm done. Because you're right, you're never done in business. Yeah. You're never done in health.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think it's really interesting the point that you made earlier when we were talking around gratitude and how pulling gratitude into your day-to-day life has really changed how you feel about your business and what you're doing. Can you tell us a bit about that before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. I think it's really easy to sometimes focus on things that aren't working for us.
Yes.
And then we can beat ourselves up and get down on ourselves. But and I think the best way to get out of that mindset is to shift perspective. And the best way to shift perspective is to look at what we're grateful for. And I think in amongst the chaos and sometimes mess and challenges, there's always a silver lining somewhere that you can look at and feel grateful for, and that just naturally shifts perspective on things as well. So I've certainly practiced a lot of that, and catch myself in moments where I'm like, oh, couldn't do this before. This is awesome.
Yes.
As well, you know. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that, and then maybe journaling that as well, just putting it down as well. So. We always have so many thoughts going on in our head at any given time.
Yes.
So capturing those moments as well, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And are there things within your daily schedule? How did you start to get habitual about gratitude? Did you anchor it to certain points in your day? How did you make that real?
That's a good question. I think I found the moments were sort of coming to me more than I was actively seeking them.
Yeah.
Though I will go and actively seek them if I'm feeling central or like, what am I doing? But
so it's more about openness.
Yeah, it's more about openness and just letting it come in. And then holding space for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's hard to describe, isn't it?
It's really hard to describe. Yeah.
And you mentioned journaling is something that's been helping you with gratitude, but also affirmations and mindset.
Yeah, exactly. So just I think a lot of us have self-limiting beliefs, and you can have moments where you're feeling really empowered and like I said, I've got this, and then other moments with not. And again, from a habits perspective, the things that we've ingrained in our minds of what we think we can't do, shouldn't do, all those sorts of things. So the journaling for me has just been about trying to change my language and reinforcing that through repetition, consistency.
Yes. There is an element of work in anything change you want to create.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it's been really good. I can't help but sort of feel positive from the day when I've done that exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Stephanie.
Thank you for
How do people connect with you and learn more about Gutsy?
So I've got my website's also in development. I saw someone saying that. So I'm on Facebook and I have a private community page, which anyone's more than happy to have them join in and just sort of see the content that I'm sharing there. And my Facebook business page should be up and running soon as well. So
great. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoy listening to the Mums in Biz show, I would love for you to leave us a review on iTunes and be sure to post a snap of you enjoying the show on Instagram and tag me at nicole.tuerick. You can also join in the conversation with me in the Mums in Biz tribe on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Mums in Biz show.